Thank you. Oh. Thank you. Oh.
Welcome to the first Amazing Race 30 recap episode of You Are Tuned In with the Amazing Race podcast from Reality TV Warriors. My name is Michael Harmstone, and joining me, as always, is the guy who, if I had to put money on anyone knowing who Catherine was from The World's Strongest Man, it would be him, Logan Saunders.
Afternoon, and you're right. You're right. We've mentioned World's Strongest Man on this podcast before, and in my blog, since my dad essentially raised me with World's Strongest Man growing up. And sadly, I can name a few Icelandic World's Strongest Man. There's Jean-Paul Sigmarsson, Magnus Berg Magnusson, Torfi Ellefson, who looks like he's more cheeseburger than muscle. The list goes on.
And talking of more cheeseburger than muscle, we have Joey Chestnut on this season.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Our first food eating joke about Joey Chestnut.
Oh, I'm sure there will be many, many to come.
I've been thinking about this, because this subject I haven't really seen come up anywhere online. But this premiere for the 30th season, because there's a lot of teams we really didn't get to know, but this episode felt more than anything like it was Phil Keoghan's episode. Like, this was the first episode that was dedicated to Phil.
Yeah, because he actually joined the intro. He got 2 helicopters. Like, this is probably an episode where Phil went to Bertram and said, I want everything.
I am co-executive producer, come on. I've been co-executive producer for 11 seasons.
I have my demands.
Like, I bet you it's in Phil's written contract that he's not allowed to get Botox in his eyebrow. Like, there's so much he sacrifices for the series.
He does it for the good of us, Logan. He does it for the good of us. For the lowly people who still have to watch this season and podcast about it.
Yes.
Arguably the 7 million people who watched it in America.
Yeah, huge ratings numbers, because it's not really prime time on the schedule for people to be tuning into TV again. But still, over 7 million people watched this premiere, which I was told is like the highest viewership since Fake All-Stars. It
is, and also, as some comparison, Hunted was in this time slot last year and got about 2 million viewers less. I think Hunted finished with about a smidge under 5 million people watching it.
And those are still decent numbers nowadays for this time of year. And I think what this guarantees is that we're going to be seeing a season 31 not only filmed, but start airing on TV before the end of 2018. I have no doubt about that after that huge ratings for a premiere.
I wouldn't be surprised if it airs over summer. Honestly.
That could be I was thinking about that too, that the strategy could be that it airs in between Survivor hiatus seasons.
Because they have talked in previous years about doing this sort of thing where it alternates between Survivor and Amazing Race all year, basically. So, it would make sense.
The only thing is, though, I really prefer this one season a year schedule. I've been advocating it for a while. So, other people will be like, yay, more Amazing Race, but then the last couple times when they were doing 2 seasons per year, the quality went significantly down. So I prefer when they just go all in for that 1 season per year rather than just assume there'll be a continued audience.
Yeah, I mentioned this on the Hunted podcast yesterday, but I got a lot of hate on Reddit for complaining that they were coming back on January 3rd because it just screws up all of my plans for this time of year. But I don't hate the idea of 1 season a year. Obviously, it's rubbish for us because we don't get to podcast about it and it's less fun. But if you consider that this year, we're almost certainly going to have Amazing Race Asia come back.
Oh, it's already been announced.
Has it been announced for this year, though? Because I know we've had Amazing Race Asia 6 announced, but the rumour is it's going to be back end of this year.
Yeah, I thought that's what Vern Mai? I thought that's what he said on Twitter, something that it was supposed to be for the end of 2018.
Yeah, the theory is that it's alternating with Asia's Got Talent every 2 years.
Yeah, which is not a bad deal either. I feel like at this point, with how many seasons of Amazing Race that there's been and how much planning it takes and how much more is at stake when you don't do it as often, that I feel that less is more is a lot better.
And also, it takes that long for them to find Tara Bajo. She is a master of disguise.
It takes two. It took me a while to find her on Instagram.
But when you did, you found all of her pictures.
Too many. I sent them to JK. He was very happy.
Why? What did he say?
I'm just kidding.
No, you know what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to cheer you up by making you do JK impressions.
Yeah. These are the best photographs I've seen. I'm never going to leave my house, Logan. Mike's going to have to do the radio show solo today.
JK has his right hand on Instagram, that's all I'm saying.
Jesus Christ.
And we're starting the season, as we mean to go on, with masturbation jokes.
By none other than JK. I really don't know what the JK stands for in his name. I legally changed it when I became a teenager.
You know the best thing about this? JK is almost certainly going to find this podcast. We don't tend to send the podcast to alumni of Amazing Grace. They tend to just find it.
This one we may be sending, though.
I know that originally we hated JK and Mike, but they provided such fun with the gift.
Treasury, you fat bitch!
Yeah, I was going to say with the gift that keeps on giving that is Treasury, you fat bitch.
Oh god! All right.
Anyway, back to a slightly worse season, but still a pretty good premiere.
I would say it's not great. It's not bad. It's just weird. It's just an unusual premiere, I would say.
It was a premiere that I was much happier with than I was expecting to be.
I think that's why people really liked it, is because the bar was set pretty damn low going into this, because there is a lot of stunt casting this season, and the funny part is any of the so-called regular people that are in this cast, like Chris and Trevor, or Eric and Daniel, and Des and Kayla, who aren't really D-list celebrities at all three of those teams got pretty much zero airtime this whole episode. It really was about the stunt casting people from start to finish this round, and overall the audience seemed happy with that.
Yeah, it was just odd. I mean, I was sat there at work on Thursday just going, I can't actually believe that I'm enjoying this, but this is a really surprisingly good episode. I mean, the way I described it on Facebook is, it was a much better episode than it deserved to be.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment.
It was just it was surprising how good the episode was, and it was much better than it had any right to be, and actually it sets up the season nicely if we keep having episodes that maybe aren't the best, but are a little bit odd, unique to talk about.
Mm-hmm. Like, just think of the starting line. We've had other live starts, but none of the other live starts have been like this. This dragged on, I think, for about 7 minutes, where really nothing happens. It's just Phil trying to fire the crowd up, which we're shown, and saying, this is season what? Season what? Season what? 30. And this is the first time he's brought out a gift to a contestant at the start line. He gives Joey Chestnut a hot dog to eat at the start.
Let's be honest, certain teams have been given hot dogs in the race. Maybe not on camera, but certain teams have been given New York hot dogs.
Oh my god, that's actually very true. We have Family Edition with Kevin and Drew. And we had... and then the end of... This is the second Amazing Race episode in a row with hot dogs, because the finale for last season had had people giving hot dogs to Ernie and Cindy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about hot dogs and Amazing Race, but it's a trend.
And also, from what we've heard, Elimination Station in 26 ended with a hot dog being given to someone.
A hot dog eating contest, and there was a very clear and decisive winner. And it was not Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, put it this way.
It was...
Joey has a rival for deep-throating hot dogs. And yeah, the episode starts with Phil getting a helicopter over Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. Then did you see the season preview? Like, Phil's facial hair gets very unique throughout the season. I'm curious to see how it evolves episode to episode.
It did, because there was certainly a clip from, let's be honest, Africa, where he was talking to at least at least two of the teams.
Yeah, and he had like this. It's like, it wasn't a mustache, it wasn't a beard, it wasn't a goatee. It was just like he decided to shave random spots on his face and see how it plays out for these 20 days.
And knowing what we know, Africa isn't that late into the season. So how quickly can he grow facial hair?
It's those Kiwi genetics.
It really is. He must have great beard genes.
And we get the Statue of Liberty, of course, because this isn't LA or just outside of LA. Naturally, the starting line has to be in New York City. Apparently, they're the only two places that are allowed starting lines since 17?
17 was Boston. So, yeah.
They slightly tweak where it ends up. Like, I guess this is a very, very minor spoiler, but the end for this season is not Los Angeles, which breaks the trend, I believe, with New York starting lines as of late.
It does. It's not LA, which was a pleasant surprise.
I feel like they've been, like, I've written down everywhere they've had starting lines and finish lines in LA, and I'm thinking, how many more places can there be? They've gone to every single major landmark except for Universal Studios, I think, is the only place left to really do a start line.
Maybe they can end on the Europe set and have Kristen Bell or Darcy Carden be greasers.
You are team number one. You get to be in the good place.
Hello, welcome to Universal Studios. That would be wonderful.
It would. And then what else we got with the whole intro? Oh yeah, and the intro for this season's a bit different because before we haven't had Phil narrating each team and who they are. It all just cuts through all 11 teams. But I think this is the first one where we only get like 4 teams before the starting line, and then the rest are all afterwards.
Yeah, this was odd.
This, as if to say, pay attention to these. Like, for instance, Chris and Trevor, Eric and Daniel didn't get any intros until after the starting line. And then only a certain number of teams did, and it seems like it's the teams that the producers want you to pay attention to. Like, we had Joey and Tim were like the first ones introduced. We had Goat Yoga. We had the NBA team, Alex and Conor with the Indy Racing. So it's all the stunt casting teams, and then to a lesser extent, Christy and Jen as Team Extreme. And then, of course, and then we borrow even more from Big Brother, where each team, I believe this is the first time this ever happened, but their final line is some really, really bad pun that not even John Montgomery or Alan Wu would make. It's the type of pun you would see when the Big Brother house guests enter the house. It's like this premiere was designed to try and cater to the Big Brother fans who are crossing over to the Amazing Race. Like, we have Joey and Tim saying, like, oh, we're going to eat the other racers for lunch. It's like, that's not even that witty, guys. What the hell?
The puns only appealed to me for one very good reason, and that is how unenthusiastic Alex and Conor were when they were doing theirs. I didn't think I'd like Alex and Conor this much, but I quite like them. I think they're quite under the radar funny. And I enjoy the running joke of Conor living on Alex's couch and Alex getting a bit pissed off about that. But also, I just love how unenthusiastic Alex was when he was having to do the race car pun.
As if he was just reading off a cue card and saying, like, seriously, guys, you're making me say this?
I'm not even paid to be here right now.
And what was the other terrible one? Oh, not terrible. This is actually quite funny. Somebody on Reddit, I think, did a visual comparison of Conor to Adam from The Amazing Race Season 6.
Yes! He does look like that.
A lot! All he's missing is the Devil Boy hair.
Hellboy.
Close. I don't remember struggling action films from 2003. Sorry.
I think you will find it as being rebooted this year.
Hellboy's being rebooted? It did terrible in theaters. I guess it's been 15 years, so I guess they want to take another shot at it, but still.
Yeah, it was announced a few weeks ago that Hellboy's getting a reboot.
And I can't believe it's been 15 years already since the previous Hellboy came out. And we get the first sign, really, that Desi and Kayla are not going to do well in the race when they get their intro for the starting line. Because a lot of what they say is just about their modeling and has nothing to do with how it will translate to the race. Like, we got a fairly big education on the modeling industry through this. When they're saying, like, oh...
We're more petite than other girls.
Yeah, which I'm thinking, really? I think there's a fair amount of Instagram models who are below 5'7". I did some quick research into this. And...
Yes, you did, JK. I bet you know what Tara Basro's height and measurements are, don't you?
Actually, no. Surprisingly. That's something I probably would have looked up, too. I have homework. After this this podcast.
Ask our friend in Singapore. I'm sure he'll hook you up.
And then there'll be like 20 viruses on my computer, I'm sure. And they're saying, oh yeah, there's so much to do with promoting you have to promote the boxing event, you have to be there for fight day. And I'm just thinking, you're not saying why you're going to be good at the Amazing Race. And then, of course, they put on the boxing gloves, Avril Lavigne style, and punch the camera and say, we're ready to knock out the competition! Yay! And we learned that Jen admires Christy from Team Extreme.
She does. There's a bit of a Mr. Miyagi relationship there.
Yeah. Very strong, yeah. It's wax on, wax off, but instead of a car... It's skis. And
I did enjoy that they said that they love danger, and then about halfway into the episode they said they left skiing because of danger.
Yeah.
It's like, make up your damn minds.
They would not be able to hang around with the rapper Mystical. Danger! And, of course, right when the teams emerge from the pile of smoke and come through like the sports-like tunnel... We see Justin and Diana front and center. No Cooper, though. I didn't see Cooper in the shot.
Weirdly, Flo was there for the start line, but not actually the go time.
Like, she was there beforehand, and then she just left? She quit the race even before it started? That doesn't sound like Flo.
Yeah, someone got a picture of her at the start line, but she wasn't actually there for the send-off.
Was any other major racers there?
Pretty much every racer who lives in New York went, I think.
They didn't really... It's not like the other live starts where they show them in the crowd. They only show Justin and Diana, I believe. Granted, Justin's a taller guy, so maybe he was blocking, I don't know, Charla or something, but I don't think so.
I think Vanck was there.
Wait, was the partner swap twist that Vanck switched with Henry?
Quite possibly. There's a lot of Vanck Ashton 2.0 jokes going around at the moment.
But the thing is that they're nothing like Vanck and Ashton. That's why I don't get the jokes. Slight visual, but that's it.
Yeah, they look slightly similar, but they're completely different personality-wise.
Yeah, and it's not like as much as the resemblance that Conor has with Alex. I mean, with Adam. This is confusing when his partner's name is Alex on the race. 2 4-letter names that start with the letter A.
He also looks like an Easter Island head, which I'm disappointed no one else picked up on.
And there was this one girl in the audience who was wearing a pink hoodie, and she was freaking out during the entire start. They kept cutting to her, and she was like in an audience for an Oprah Winfrey Christmas special.
You get a car! You get a car!
You get a hot dog! You get a hot dog! Jackie gets 10 hot dogs! Yay!
I was going to say, wasn't that how Phil greeted Jackie at the start line of Amazing Race 26? You may not have won the Amazing Race, but you do get a hot dog.
But you get a lot of beef.
We've arranged a hot dog eating contest for you at Elimination Station.
Alright. Moving on from Jackie jokes, which there's been a lot of Jackie and JK jokes. I like how Phil just says, this is the most competitive group we've ever had. 30 seasons. Most competitive group. I mean, you're goat yoga instructors, and you're standing next to actual competitive people. and then Sean rests his shoulder on top of April and Sarah's heads. As if to say, like, you have no chance. And then, this is my favorite part probably about the whole introduction, is that just Phil out Cedric and Sean as being dicks to everybody else at the starting line, where Phil says, let me tell you about Cedric and Sean. They said, Phil, just sign the check. And then you see Sean going all uneasy, saying, oh, I don't think too many teams are going to want to align with us now.
Well, he sort of drops Jen in it as well by saying she's the most competitive person he's ever met.
Yeah, saying, if the other teams were, if the other teams had any brains, Jen, they would U-turn you because you told me what you're willing to do to win this race, and it's quite scary, Jen. And let me tell you about Cedric and Sean. They hate all your families, and they don't give a damn about what happens to you guys as long as they win. NBA All-Stars.
Their inspiration in life is Courtney from Survivor Heroes vs. Villains wanting people to break Stephanie's shoulder.
And then, let's see.
Don't forget Conor saying that he thinks everyone has done something incredible. Just like, yeah, go back to your pageants, Conor.
I think it's a smart social play at the very start to do that, though. He's not going to be like, well, I mean, goat yoga? Everyone else, though, has done something to deserve to be here. He's not going to say that.
I know he isn't, but also, it's a very pageant answer, isn't it? Oh yes, everyone's done wonderful things.
And then, of course, we get one of the more annoying things, is that Phil goes to Christy and Jen and says, are you guys going to be the 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th all-female team to win this thing? It's like, the barrier has been broken repeatedly already, Phil. Like, we're not counting how many all-male or male-female teams have won this thing. Like, after 1 or 2, sure, you have to make the distinction of that, or when Riken and DK won in Season 4, and say, like, and then make it an achievement that the first gay couple won. But once you start racking up 3 all-female winners, it's time, especially when you contrast it with Amazing Race Asia or Amazing Race Canada, or frankly any other version where all-female teams do much better. Yeah, it's not really that big of a milestone anymore.
And the first clue ends up being in the fountain at Washington Square Park, which is the start line for the race. And someone's got to run into the fountain.
I like how they didn't know whether to run backwards into the fountain or to grab their backpacks first. There was some confusion there where people just didn't know what to do.
I also like how Tim evidently didn't care about wearing his face paint because he just ran straight into the fountain. He was obviously told by production to wear the face paint.
And even did an X for everybody. Like it's X to the Z exhibit.
And yeah, teams must now fly to Reykjavik, Iceland, and drive to Geitafjörður, where they will find their next clue. And fun fact, I wrote down all the phonetic pronunciations for every clue, for every route marker on this leg.
I got about the first 4 or 5 letters of each place, and then just did a bunch of wavy lines.
Well, now that I'm leading the podcast again, you don't have to worry about it like you did for Amazing Race Canada.
Yeah. And, of course, I'm going to go on a limb and say that this is probably going to be the last time we ever see Iceland on the Amazing Race.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Because I've heard from quite a few people that you can't really spend much more than 3 or 4 days in Iceland total without having done everything there is to do in Iceland. Except for if you keep doing the exact same landscapey stuff. That's it.
What did you think about the new intro, by the way?
I liked it. I liked that Phil got to insert it. Like, here's the difference between Phil and Jeff Probst. Jeff Probst tries so hard to make himself a part of the show, and he's always angling at wanting to have a talk show, over commentary, over involvement with trying to alter certain foundations of Survivor. With Phil Keoghan, he tries to stay out of the way a lot, and he just does his thing on the pit stop mat, just tries to be friendly to everyone, friendly to the fans, not really engage with anyone specifically in an intense way. And he's done this now for 17 years, so I think after 17 years of laying low and just being the friendly host guy who just deals with whatever comes to him, yeah, I think he deserves to be in the intro.
I think it was quite a Real Housewives style intro, with the green screen and stuff.
Well, I do not know about the Real Housewives intros, Michael.
Neither do I officially, but I have seen clips of the intro, and it looks quite Real Housewives. I also don't like that Cedric and Sean dabbed.
Oh, I even wrote that down. That was my favorite part of the intro, thinking, man, that's already been outdated for a year now.
It just annoyed me. On the plus side, we did have 5 teams do head turns, which is a rarely high amount, actually.
Mm-hmm. It's taken back to the early days.
We love a good head turn on this podcast, or a complete twirl like Lucas and Brittany did. But we are quite well-known fans of the head turn and the cheesier intros, so keep giving us head turns, guys. We love a head turn.
Of course. Who doesn't?
Harking back to the classic times of Terry and Ian.
Yeah. No one did it better than them. So after the intro, we get introduced to Lucas and... We say hola to Lucas and Brittany. The lifeguards. The agua de vida of this race. I know Brittany's on the season and that I think Spanish is pretty much her first language, so I'm going to be throwing in a lot of Spanish jokes, I think, while she's on the race. Especially considering I'm about to finish watching the first season of Latino America for the Amazing Race.
The awkward thing here is you haven't played Portal 2, where there is a great Spanish joke. So I can't even reference it.
Damn it. I've always wanted to play Portal.
For anyone who's played Portal 2, Logan doing Spanish is very similar to Wheatley doing Spanish. Hola, me llamo Wheatley. I'm speaking in an accent that is beyond her range of comprehension.
That's usually I speak Spanish with an Italian accent, is what I've been told.
Even better.
And we get an extreme close-up of Lucas and Brittany during their scene in the cab. And then, of course, Lucas says that he's going to do something really original that we've never seen on The Amazing Race before. He's going to propose at some point.
Can I point out, somebody did say that he would propose on the race.
You were right on, Michael.
Damn right I was. Just putting another tick in my box, I was right. I got the instinct that he was probably going to propose somewhere.
So let's do a quick rundown of all the proposals that I recall seeing on The Amazing Race. Season 6, Hayden and Aaron. Season 17, Chad and Stephanie. Season 26, Matt and Ashley. And, of course, our favorite Quebecois French proposal, Audrey and Hélène, Hélène and Audrey from Amazing Race Canada 2.
And in the same week as that one was Tully and Tyson as well.
Oh, right.
We had Proposal Week. The Paris episode and the Russia episode aired in the same week.
And what we need to happen, though, in an Amazing Race first, is for Lucas to just change his mind by the end of the season. He's like, at the start of the season, he's like, I'm going to propose at some point during the race. And the next episode, he shows off the ring. And then eventually he's like, you know what?
That would be so awkward.
Or Brittany hasn't, they're still together after the season is over. And Brittany has no idea that he was planning to propose. And then it's just mentioned in every episode on screen.
Well, the thing is, in her pre-season stuff, she was like, I haven't got a ring yet. Why haven't I got a ring yet? I want a ring. But I'm just imagining that it's going to be like Michael Scott's proposal in Diwali.
Yes.
Just really awkward.
Everyone's on stage looking at me saying, who is this crazy gringo?
This is our 9th leg, Lucas. This is our 9th leg.
You proposed on the 9th leg. Imagine if that happened in the All Stranger or the Blind Date season that somebody proposed by the 7th or 8th leg.
Out of the blind date teams, who do you think would have done it?
Who would have been the most confused and awkward? I guess Laura and Tyler?
Proposed on a potato.
Proposed to a potato.
You are my papa.
You are Vos eres mi papa.
And yeah, Brittany basically says in her intro that she's basically a badass.
Yes. And we get introduced to goat yoga, where they list 20,000 different things that they do. And of course they end it by saying, we goat this.
Right, can I just point out, I don't think either of us thought that April and Sarah were going to be this good on leg one.
They were so entertained. It was so fun to watch them. They're bickering back and forth because if I recall correctly, I know this. They're both Mormon, so they're not going to go too extreme with cursing on screen. So you're going to have moments like Sarah referring to April as a little bean, a little bee. Like, she's not going to outright say the word, so she's going to come up with these ridiculous euphemisms that are going to make me chuckle and giggle like a little schoolgirl all the way throughout the race.
Let's be perfectly clear. They made this episode amazing. They are a large part of why I enjoyed this episode, and just how unbelievably bickery they are.
I asked for directions while you were asleep. Why didn't you tell me? Why can't you read this map when you were the one asking for directions? And you didn't even wake me up.
It was beautiful. It really was.
And there was something I suspected before the start of the season, and I went ahead and confirmed this. And Henry and Evan, particularly Henry, has a personal connection to a former Amazing Race contestant. Not just contestant, a former winner.
Who's that?
Victor. It makes sense, because I thought I knew this or something before the start of the season, and then I looked it up just to make sure, and yeah. Because as we know, Henry and Evan, both top debate champions, or close to it, and Victor is a debate coach. That's his job now. So I figured, I wonder if Victor knows Henry. And then sure enough, they do.
Cool.
Henry and Victor know each other.
Well, can I just point out that winner of Amazing Race 29, Brooke Kamhai, is friends with Shamir. Is friends... she's friends
I
with...
thought it was all strangers. What is this, like Ali and Patrick all over again?
Can I just point out that winner of Amazing Race 29, Brooke Kamhai, is friends with Jelani, finalist of Amazing Race 26. So this is good pedigree for my win pick of Henry and Evan.
Yes. Because you get so much more insight and knowledge before you go out in the race from somebody who's made it to the very end and came very close to winning.
And should have won, at least over Laura and Tyler. Still bitter about Hayley and Blair losing Amazing Race 26.
And you'll never get over it.
Nope.
Just like how Josh Gatewood will never get over not being cast for The Amazing Race.
Who?
Exactly.
Never heard of him.
He's in my Funniest Complaints blog a few times this week.
I love your Funniest Complaints blog for this season already. The fact that you had to do a pre-season edition just says it all.
Like, with Josh Gatewood, I don't know, like, this is a preview for the Week 1 Funniest Complaints blog, but 3 times within the span of 24 hours, he posted on the official Amazing Race Facebook page saying, you need to have the team food truck guys for season 31. The season's still really good, but you really need me for season 31. And keep in mind, Josh Gatewood posts on the official Facebook page, I think, for like 4 or 5 years now, trying to get himself on the race. But within the span of 24 hours, I saw him post 3 times. And then on Reddit, he was getting into a random scuffle with somebody. And then I noticed, I'm like, I really need a background joke that's going to really help with the complaints blog. And he's got some interesting opinions. I'm just going to say that. Not even about The Amazing Race.
I know who you're talking about now you've said the food truck guy. Because it's the guy who has the food truck with his sister, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's the one that was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
He was, and I think he did a Reddit AMA as well, somewhere. I don't know for certain, but I think he did. I recognise his story, at least. So next up is Eric and Daniel, who are twins and EMTs from Louisiana, and fans, and they actually posted in the Amazing Race fans group with their audition video months and months ago. So they are actual proper fans.
Yeah, and they get the least amount of airtime of anybody this episode. They just say, get it done, and that's it.
And that is not a shock at all, because they seem quite quiet.
They seem very mellow. Was it even brought up that the one, I don't even know which one it was, that had their child born 2 days before they went out on the race?
Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel, yeah. Did they even mention that in the premiere?
Nope.
So I imagine it's not going to be mentioned until whichever episode they get eliminated in.
I would assume that as well. But I feel slightly sad that I have to say this about two people who are probably going to listen to this podcast because they are actual fans of the show, but they just weren't really there. They had the least airtime of anyone.
Yeah, this was pretty close to this was as close to like a Jeremy and Sandy or Amanda Chris as you can get. But maybe not even that, because I realized that Jeremy and Sandy did get a bit more airtime than I realized in Amazing Race 19. It's just that none of it was memorable. With Eric and Daniel, it was just flat out nothing on screen. Except for like 10 seconds.
I mean, contrast that with Trevor and Chris, who are the final team introduced, where we get a lovely sassy remark to open with. Without malice, we will destroy everyone.
Yeah, I wrote that too. And just they're not going to like what I'm going to say about classical music right now. But they were saying, because this is supposed to be part of this competitive field, so Chris and Trevor, you think, are top-of-the-line classical musicians that are really popular, and because I don't know classical music, I just don't know who they are. But then they say, oh, we released our album, and we were number 8 selling, most selling album in the classical music genre in the country. And I'm thinking, that's a very, very specific category to be in. I couldn't even tell you who number 1 through 7 would be. And I did take the time to listen to Chelsea's mom before this podcast.
Any thoughts?
It was not for me, just like Chelsea's mom, or Stacey's mom.
You're not a fan of Fountains of Wayne?
Fountains of Wayne Arthurson?
I don't know who that is.
But it's funny because I really want to see Josh Gatewood have to interact with Chris and Trevor, because I think they are on very opposite ends of the political spectrum.
He's quite strongly Republican then, I'm assuming.
Very. Like, when I was looking for a good quote, there's a lot of things that were contenders that end up with like minus 30 points on Reddit. I'm like, oh, how do I work this in and not seem like it's out of place or that I'm just trying to humiliate him? There's one quote that I did use though, in one of his like minus 20 point comments. I'm like, okay, I gotta throw this in there. And
fun fact, the Reddit scores corroborate with what scores you'd get to get in the good place.
Yes, exactly. Did I hear some guy in Calgary was really close to figuring it all out?
Are you up to date on the good place yet?
No, just whatever's on Netflix, so end of season 1.
Canadian Netflix doesn't have season 2? That's awesome. UK one does.
Son of a bitch.
Netflix is the distributor over here, so we get them like 3 hours after the air in America.
I know, and you guys get Undisputed Survivor right after it airs as well. We don't even get it in Netflix Canada.
But you get the US office. I had to buy the DVDs instead.
Okay, so where are we at? Oh, Chris knows Trevor when he's hangry and his wash patterns. So they're close.
Real close.
Closer than twins, somehow.
I do like how they never actually confirmed that Trevor and Chris were dating. It was never actually explicitly said.
Which makes me worried that they're also going to be early boots, if that wasn't even really mentioned. But everyone else gets these big storylines in the first episode, and then the two most quote-unquote regular people teams in the cast get nothing. Just one sassy quote between them.
But no matter how long Trevor and Chris last, I suspect we're just going to keep getting sassy quotes every time we actually see them. So, I can live with that.
Yeah, they don't need to have too much airtime, it's quality over quantity. Although I think right now they might take the quantity from home.
And on the way to the first route marker, which I'm not going to try and pronounce again, we get the wonderful fight between April and Sarah. And Brittany also warns Lucas that if he gives her bad directions, she will hold it above him all the time, forevermore.
She'll be she's like, I'm going to be passive-aggressive about it, and then it's going to seep into your bones to where it gives you nightmares. Love you. Te amo, nena.
And Lucas is just sat in the back seat going, did I have to bring the ring with me?
Yeah. Or what he was probably thinking was, is this Brittany or that chick from Wedding Crashers? And I'm find you.
And Phil gets another helicopter when he goes over the river canyon.
Maybe it was the same one. Maybe he took it all the way from New York to Iceland.
He's not Jeff Probst moving the votes.
We need to quickly point out one behind-the-scenes thing that a lot of people don't know about, except probably the people listening to this podcast by this point. There was actually 2 flights from JFK to Reykjavik that teams were divided between, but the first flight was so delayed that the 2 flights essentially landed at the same time. And because Iceland is so barren overall, you pretty much need to have people self-drive this leg. So hopefully it's not just an Iceland thing for the season, but an overall season-long thing of more self-drive legs.
I'm not entirely sure it will be a Belgium thing.
No, because, good luck driving. You've been to Belgium quite a bit, right, Michael?
Yeah, just a few times. Hull to Zeebrugge is one of our main sailing routes to get to mainland Europe.
Oh, I see.
When we went to Amsterdam last year, the same port that we went from, the other ship that company do is to Zeebrugge, which is Bruges.
Bruges, oh, okay.
That's basically the main route that people use to get to, France.
Yeah, and I've been to, Brussels and Bruges, and yeah, good luck having Americans try to drive through those 2 cities. Those are some really compact streets, especially if you want to get to the major landmarks. You're not going to want to drive.
I would be very surprised if next leg isn't, basically on foot.
Yeah, because everything's so close together in Belgium. Except, the Atomium in Brussels was surprisingly far from all the major landmarks in the city centre. It was a bit of a walk, I discovered.
And you weren't even allowed to take pictures of it.
Yes. Dang Belgian laws.
Still, one of my favourite fun facts about Belgium is the fact that you can't actually take pictures of sculptures and stuff because it infringes copyright.
That's such a stupid rule. No one follows it. You type in Atomium on Instagram and you get 10,000 hits. Anyways, so let's see, passive aggressiveness. Oh, and then of course the April and Sarah fight that we already pretty much went through earlier with Sarah being a little bee. April's words, not mine. I would never use that type of language. Neither would Michael.
No, not about them.
And Sean Marion feels like he's at Tiffany's, just relaxing in the back seat, doing nothing, and having Cedric drive him around.
And once teams get to Gate Arufur, they have to send one team member down a zip line over the river canyon to collect an Icelandic flag, which they can exchange for their next clue.
I thought this was a roadblock at first. It took me a while to realize that this wasn't a set roadblock. This was just they get to choose one person to do the task.
Yeah. And it's Henry and Evan, and Alex and Conor, then Cedric and Sean, Christy and Jen, Desi and Kayla, Trevor and Chris, Joey and Tim, Lucas and Brittany, April and Sarah, and then Eric and Daniel in terms of arrival order.
And we get a second hint that Desi, on top of the preseason hints, the second in-episode hint that this race is going to be very short for Desi and Kayla. We're during the self-drive portion to this river canyon. Desi says, "Oh, the problem is I'm holding a map." It's like you're the navigator and you're saying the problem with this is that you're the one with the map. This is not going to end well.
Do you think they'd ever seen Amazing Race before?
I think, was the map upside down? Do we know?
Well, we know who would be able to tell if it was upside down. There's someone from Amazing Race history, maybe last season actually, who knows his way around a map.
You have to hold the map upside down, Liz. That's where the magic activates and unveils the path on where to go, Liz. You said this map was magic.
I do like how we have turned that quote into a meme that both Mike and Liz do use to each other. Like, I have them both on Facebook, and genuinely most of their conversations on posts on each other's wall revolve around that quote. It's so fun.
And what I don't get with... when Michael is probably watching this episode from home, and he's seen April and Sarah talk about being goat yoga instructors, he's probably all like, goat yoga? Why, Liz, what is this goat yoga shit? Why aren't they eating the goats? The goats are meant for eating. What is this? Tai Chi for penguins is next? I'm not allowed to eat anything? I have to be vegetarian? Ugh.
I didn't realise that Mike was actually JK in disguise.
They're brothers. Brothers from another Singaporean mother. Liz?
What I would like to hear is Mike call call Treasury a fat bitch.
I don't think I could keep a straight enough face to do that.
We'll try. I'll mute my microphone so you don't hear me giggle.
Treasury is a fat bitch, Liz. She won't even let me go into the caves. She keeps moving the rope. Stop moving the rope, Treasury. This Indonesian volcanic air is already disrupting my lungs as it is. Liz.
Bear in mind, we've recorded for about 45 minutes now, and we've not even got halfway through my notes.
Well, luckily, there's not too many things to expand upon for the rest of this, because this episode goes by pretty dang quickly from this point forward.
Yeah, the editing was weird, wasn't it? It was quite breakneck.
Yeah. As I said, there were some teams we saw a lot of, and several teams we saw nothing of. I should note with the Brittany's remark about being passive-aggressive and giving Lucas nightmares, it made people hate her online. People said, I do not like Brittany, and they just went on a bit of a tirade against her, not realizing that she was being extremely sarcastic as a joke.
Yeah, a lot of people hated on Brittany, and a lot of people hated on April and Sarah as well for fighting.
It's like, they were my two favorite teams from the premiere.
Yeah, they should be everyone's two favourite teams from the premiere, because they were awesome. They were fun.
What I can't figure out with Henry and Evan, though, is just how much of this was a put-on, and how much of this is genuinely their personality, and this is how they talk. Like, being in the cab on the way to the airport, where Evan said, oh, my notepad is in my right-hand pocket. We have to figure out the driving particularities.
I think they're massive fans, and they were Ernie and Cindy prepared, basically.
That's the impression I get too. But it's like, who genuinely, when they're on a casual level with somebody, talks like that? Because I get made fun of for talking like that to friends a little bit, for being a bit too formal with the words I say. But with Henry and Evan, they are very close, and it should be a lot more casual, a lot more colloquial forms of speech being used.
And Cedric says that he hates heights, and he's doing it because his family watched The Amazing Race.
I don't get how Cedric hates heights, because he is heights.
Yeah, he's not from height, he is heights.
Yes, that's exactly. It's like, how can you be afraid of you?
Bitch, he is heights.
Yes, bitch, I am Amsterdam. In April and Sarah's fight, Sarah is also directionally challenged. Again, she should have swapped to being the one driving very quickly. I know there's only one highway in Iceland, so you assume that that you can't really get lost. But here's the kicker, though. Several roads were closed on the highways, and there was a lot of circumventing to find alternate ways to go.
Really?
Yeah, April and Sarah said that they actually provided a lot of good behind-the-scenes stuff in their blog online.
I did not know that.
That's where I learned about the two flights thing, and then because they're both Mormon, they both drank the cod liver oil. It wasn't that one had to drink the vodka. And then this with the bunch of roads being closed, and that's why teams weren't just a big caravan just going straight to the Clue with Meredith and Maria somehow in Greenland.
Also, it was at this point that we started really noticing the shopping bags. And whilst this was probably a tribute to the last time they went to Iceland with the shopping bag lady, it was actually, and we did have a question from friend of the show, Frankie, from Amazing Race Canada 4, that it was actually provided by production because obviously no one had any cold weather gear.
Yeah, that's the thing with Amazing Race each season, is that they don't pack the cold weather gear with them. They're just, you're going to be in a cold place, so here you go if you want to take it. This is the first time where it was just lazily thrown together in shopping bags for them to carry around if they wanted to, though.
Yeah, some seasons they have a route marker to go there, some seasons they really don't. It's just provided.
My favorite is still in Amazing Race 5, where they went to Calgary, and suddenly Chip and Kim are wearing these big Canada toques and red jackets.
Not even trying to be subtle about it.
Yeah.
And once teams complete the zipline task, it's a roadblock, which is who's ready to spell it out. And in this roadblock, one teamer must be driven in a dune buggy through a river canyon where 11 letters are posted, and they must remember the letters and, using the numbers below said letters, correctly spell out their next location, which is Ingolf's Torg, to get their next clue.
Cedric also at the Heights task. This was kind of funny, but just with him being like, I shall fear no evil.
I liked Cedric and Sean more than I thought I would, but that's not saying much because I thought they'd be quite boring. I don't think they were stellar characters by any stretch of the imagination.
But it was just funny to see, like, Cedric, a 7-foot tall guy, afraid of heights. Sean, didn't even hear his partner giving him the answer, and when he looked at somebody else's answer, he was still stumped.
Cedric didn't even mention heights being his main fear either.
No, he said he feared nothing, and then 2 seconds into the race, I shall fear heights.
I was a bit confused when I heard him say, "Oh yeah, I'm scared of heights," because I sort of remembered in the back of my mind that he said he wasn't scared of anything.
It'd be funny if he just gets scared of everything on every single leg.
Just yelps.
I fear nothing.
I have an irrational fear of French fries, alright?
And then the phrase passive-aggressive comes up again with April wanting to work together with Sarah, but Sarah just gets upset and is just gonna keep needling April all the way throughout the race, and then April is just gonna keep crying while Sarah has the bigger personality and is just gonna keep pushing her around.
Am I right in thinking that April and Sarah aren't talking at the moment?
They have a very big contrast in personalities. I don't know if they are talking. I know they both write about the Amazing Race a lot, so I think they both like the experience. It's just maybe they just need a little bit of a break from each other. I mean, this did film just 3 months ago.
I heard a rumour that they had fallen out. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I'd heard a rumour they'd fallen out.
Who gets custody of the goats then?
Well, I think April said she brought the goats and Sarah said she brought the yoga, so it's a nice even split for them. So it's Henry, Conor, Jen, Sean, Trevor, Brittany, Desi, Tim, Daniel and Sarah doing this roadblock. And Henry does get there first, but he has the O's switched, which is a common error that people keep making because there's one with an accent.
Yeah. Do we know how to pronounce those two O's differently in Icelandic?
I'm going to be really nerdy here, and I'm going to reveal that a few months ago I entered a competition to win a trip to Iceland. And the Icelandic alphabet, the last letter of it is O with an umlaut. And the only reason I know this is because... In fact, I said I was going to link this with the with the podcast. The video that they produced to publicise this is called the A to Ur of Iceland.
This is the A to Ur of Iceland!
And it features loads of Icelandic words. And I want to see... They've got a karaoke version. I want to see basically whether we can sing along with it. But the O with an umlaut is the last letter of the Icelandic alphabet. So I'm assuming that an O with an acute accent, I think it's acute, that one, is towards the end of the alphabet. But I don't know for certain.
Have you seen any of those Icelandic music videos I was telling you about from the 90s? Where it's a lot of interesting outfits that seem really outdated, even for the 90s. That it seems like Icelandic people got certain styles about 20 years late, and the music videos are just super cheesy and look like they were filmed on a VHS, like a VCR type quality to it.
So basically, they get their fashion sense from Canada,
even after Canada. It's like Canada's the middleman for Iceland.
So it goes Canada, Iceland, and then New Zealand.
Yeah, when I was at a hostel in Croatia, I met a couple guys from Iceland, and they were showing me some of the music videos, and I'm thinking, oh man, if anybody did that in North America, they would be so ridiculed.
I need to find Icelandic B44.
Oh yes, that's our mission. And then Sarah says she is kind of not nice, but she's not bossy. She's not bossy.
She's not bossy, she's just forthright.
And then when Kayla's going across that traversing thing across the river canyon, just how Desi just calls her, Kay! We're begging!
Love you, Kay.
Love you, Kay. Love you, D. Which is not Jackie saying that, surprisingly.
According to Jackie, the alphabet starts with D.
It starts with D and ends with K. It's a very simplified alphabet. Very efficient. More efficient than Globish or Esperanto. And Kayla was just referred to the task as being gnarly. The first person to use the word gnarly since pothead snowboarders on the Amazing Race 19. So that's hilarious. And then Chris asks Trevor for forgiveness of his jealousy. Maybe he can make it up by indicating to Trevor what his wash patterns are. And then Alex and Conor, when they're at the roadblock, Conor's like, oh, I'm used to race suits. And I'm thinking, how many more Indy 500 references are there going to be? Because they already referenced being Indy 500 when they were driving the car in Iceland. So he's like, oh, I'm a professional driver. It's like, come on, guys. We need more material. We need more material than that. And that Conor is sleeping on Alex's couch.
Do you think that everyone was sort of told beforehand that if you don't mention your unique hook, you're not getting airtime?
In the first episode, yeah. That one surprised me at all. If it keeps going on like this, it's going to get stale really fast, like an old hot dog that's been left on the counter. Because Joey and Tim have so many hot dog references, too. I even wrote down, oh my god, too many hot dog references. Because like when Joey was traversing across the canyon, Tim was saying, just why give up now with going across? Remember, you didn't give up at 50 or 60 hot dogs. Neither did Jackie.
Is Jackie going to become our recurring joke for this season?
As long as Joey and Tim keep referencing hot dogs, it's kind of hard not to. She's the mysterious 23rd contestant on the season. She's getting more airtime than Eric and Daniel.
I mean, as much as we would love her to appear in a partner switch in the middle of the season, I'm not sure it's going to happen.
Tim, you're out. Jackie, you're in.
Yeah, can you imagine if, like, Alex and Conor got split up and one of them had to be paired with Jackie?
Who's ready to do the Jackie 500?
Yeah, Conor does need to find a new home, doesn't he? Just putting it out there. Maybe it'll be an internet cafe with Jackie.
And then, of course, Brittany flexes when going across the canyon. She really is like the woman from Wedding Crashers. It's hilarious. And then Henry and Evan are nicknamed the Wizards of Yale. It's Leviosa.
Not Leviosa.
And then we find out that the next destination to go see a strong woman who's the CrossFit champion, and they have to answer 2 questions about Teutonics, as opposed to tectonics. Oh, this was controversial on social media. Phil incorrectly described the tectonic plate movement in Iceland, and people online were very eager to correct him. And then people were also very eager to defend Phil, saying he probably didn't look that up. Producers probably told him to say that.
What did Phil say?
He said that the tectonic plates are converging, but I guess in Iceland they're diverging.
How could he?
And that's what causes the volcanoes.
I've never been more disappointed in Phil Keoghan than this moment right now. He should hang his head in shame.
That's what causes the volcanoes and the hot springs and all that stuff.
And yeah, Henry and Evan leave, and then Christy and Jen leave right after them. And once they find out the answer to the 2 questions, one of which is some sort of potent spirit, and one of which is cod liver oil, teams must now make their way to Reykjavik to turn the pit stop for this leg of the race. The last team to check in will be eliminated.
I should note that the place where the 2 questions were answered seems like probably the most public place in all of Iceland. There's a lot of people there documenting what was going on, because there's even people on Reddit saying, oh, I was there in person. And just lots of footage, I guess, was leaked online about it.
Well, I guess if they have a World's Strongest Man demonstration in the middle of Reykjavik, it's probably going to attract at least a little bit of attention.
Yeah. Even more so than probably the national soccer team of Iceland.
And it is Christy and Jen who check in first place, and they are welcomed by Miss Iceland, and they win a trip to Santorini with an extra, in Michelle's honour, an extra spa.
Spa!
Phil was 100% hamming up his spas.
Yes. 30 seasons, he's got to do it. How many Miss contestants have been the pit stop greeters for the first leg of the race? Because I can think of Miss Uruguay for the Uruguay leg and Amazing Race 5.
A few? We didn't have it on the first leg, but we had Miss Columbia in 28.
Right.
Let's be honest, Hammerots has probably done a few beauty queens.
27's premiere had that beauty queen that Phil was hitting on and trying to get her to hook up with Ernest and Jin.
Yeah, it did.
And there's a joke I really want to make right now, but I'm not going to make it.
And then in third was Henry and Evan, with Trevor and Chris in fourth. And then maybe my quote of the episode from, I think it was from Conor, who, after drinking his drink, went, "Was that vodka?"
I thought that was juice.
He just screamed in the middle of Reykjavik, "Was that vodka?"
What's funny is that the vodka probably tastes just as strong and as bad as the cod liver oil, because from what I know, Icelandic food and drink is absolutely terrible.
Just throw it out there, Logan.
Yeah, just nobody likes Icelandic food, nobody likes any Icelandic drinks. You just want to see the volcanoes and the glaciers and the waterfalls and the people and it's like all that protein from all the fish and sharks that they eat is why they're such big strongmen. It's like they have dishes where there's like 6 different types of meat in it. It'd be Jackie's heaven.
I do wonder what they would have done if there was a team who, not like April and Sarah, where they have a religious objection to drinking, but
like alcoholics.
If there was a team of former alcoholics, of former alcoholics, that, I guess officially you never stop being an alcoholic, you just get it under control, but you know what I mean. Or a team of people like me where I just choose not to drink. I wonder whether they would have done the cod liver oil exception then as well.
Yeah, they just do both of them.
Yeah. Joey and Tim leave the roadblock in 6th, with Eric and Daniel in 7th, and Lucas and Brittany in 8th, and Desi and Kayla in 9th. And then that leaves us with Goat Yoga and NBA left. And then maybe the moment of the episode where I was sat there going, "Don't do that," with Cedric helping Sean at the roadblock.
What's your O's and P's, Sean? OPP. Yeah, you know me. Who wants OPP? Every last goat yoga lady.
Have you got enough letters to spell poop?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was actually genuinely wondering whether they were going to get a penalty for that.
But Eric and Daniel, I guess, they were last leaving that original traversing task. Like, they were not in a good position. And I should know whenever Brittany reads the clue, it's like Latino America, where they have the clues in Spanish and Portuguese, and I'm pretty sure for her, the clues are in English and Spanish. It's not get the next clue, it's just conseguir la próxima pista. That's all it is. That's how she gets by in the race.
I'm going to say this now, Logan. Stop showing off that you've watched Latino America.
I'm doing my best Harris Whitbeck impressions. The RTV Warriors podcast, the only podcast where Guatemalan journalists who became temporary Amazing Race Latino America hosts get impersonated.
If you want to do an Amazing Race Latino America podcast, you'll be doing this on your own.
It'll just be me. It'll be me in my broken Italian Spanish.
I will be watching Dutch and Belgian Mole instead, which I'm super excited about, because that's, just to date this slightly, we're recording on Saturday, and, you know, it's today that it's that it's started broadcasting, and I can't wait.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm assuming you want me to send you the link, and then you'll forget to watch it for 3 weeks or so.
No, I'll probably keep up with it. I'm doing nothing.
That's good, because then we can actually discuss how wrong we're going to be about who the mole is.
Yes.
And we also have another classic introduction for Alex and Conor at the pit stop, where Phil drops the minute by saying, Conor is living on his couch. And Miss Iceland just says, oh, that's nice.
And then as that was being told, she crumples up her phone number in her pocket and throws it into the pond. Phil was being like the biggest cockblock in that situation. Like, hey, Miss Iceland, Connor's single. He's really single, looking to mingle. But he lives on his friend's couch. How do you feel about Connor? Is it alright if I told her that? It's okay if she knows that, right? She's gonna find out eventually.
He's super successful. He's a professional race car driver, but also he lives on this guy's couch. And looks a bit like a former contestant, and a bit like one of the Eastern Island heads.
And it's one of those like children's Hot Wheel couches. You know, instead of like the Hot Wheel beds that 6- and 7-year-olds have in their room, Connor sleeps on a Hot Wheel couch. It's not even a bed, Miss Iceland. It's not even a bed. And it doesn't even pull out either.
Unlike Jeff.
I was trying to like that.
It's more than likely that Connor does still have a race car bed in his room at Alex's house.
Yes. Vroom vroom. I'm winning the Indy 500. That was me, Connor, who won the Indy 500. Vroom vroom.
Alex just walks into his room and tucks him up, and Connor goes, I'm winning the Indy 500. And he just goes, yes, Connor, you are, and taps him on the head. Night, night.
And then turns on his nightlight. It keeps the crash demons away. It keeps the blue shells away.
And yeah, they check in fifth, and...
or before he goes to sleep, Connor's like, Alex? Yes, Connor? Why am I still single? I don't know, Connor. I don't know.
So yeah, Alex and Connor check in fifth, and then Ekman and Sarah leave the roadblock in 10th, and Cedric and Sean leave it last. And then basically everyone else checks in, so we have Joey and Tim in 6th, Lucas and Brittany in 7th.
Lucas and Brittany have a bit of a mat chat too. What was theirs about? Oh, that Brittany is always right.
He's just like, yeah, I let her think that.
Yeah, because even Miss Iceland chimes in on the... Miss Iceland was very interactive with the contestants.
I would quite enjoy it if the memory challenge ends up being, which of these beauty queens have you met?
Just from, like, all the previous, like, beauty queens that have been pit stop creators in Amazing Race history?
Yeah, do a Hats Entertainment from Amazing Race 17, but with beauty queens. And then just have an appearance by, like, Dustin and Candice and Katie Upton and... you know, everyone else who's been a pageant girl.
What else we got? Oh, when Trevor was doing the roadblock, when he initially makes his guess and the judge says, "Oh, you're wrong," and then he just swaps 2 letters. Okay, now you're right. Like they didn't have to go back. They didn't have to go back out to take another look before they could make another guess. They could just keep swapping out all the permutations until they got it right.
Yeah, to be fair to them, even if you closed your eyes through the entire Dune buggy ride, that is a lot of combinations to guess.
Yeah. But if you knew like you had 5 of the letters right and just maybe the 2 O's you were confused over, you could just keep swapping the O's and then you'd get it right. I don't know why Sean Marion couldn't figure that one out. You think for something about when it's a challenge with involving permutations, that a guy who was nicknamed the Matrix would be able to solve it.
And also, one other thing you have to bear in mind is that if you know it's going to be the next location, it has to actually look like a location, so you can rule out a lot of the permutations from that.
Yeah, it would be like the whole Fran strategy in Amazing Race 15. Like, there's 1 vowel and 4 consonants. You have a pretty good idea what the order should be. It's not going to be Zanarth, Big Easy.
As much as you would like it to be.
Wait. This is the second time it's happened in Amazing Race history where we had a challenge involving putting letters in a logical order with permutations, and for some reason, retired basketball players suck at this type of challenge.
Yeah, if you were just to guess every single permutation without even realising that it was the next location, there's like 39 million options.
More than the 120 that Big Easy encountered.
It's a lot of options, but it has to actually look like a location or at least a word. You're not going to be able to think of many 11-letter Icelandic words, but you can probably guess what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, it's like any of the puzzles in Survivor, it does actually have to look like a word.
Oh, and I like during the roadblock how when Sarah does the roadblock, I think, and then how April's on the sideline saying that her and Sarah always make a good team, and then, you know, what happened before and after the roadblock is very contrary to that.
I know they've been friends forever, so it kind of makes sense that they could bicker, but they were certainly portraying that bickering as being a bit too personal.
Yeah. And we get a weird alliance at the roadblock where 9 teams have left, and the bottom 2 teams help each other out. Sarah cusses out her own teammate, but yet she wants to help Sean Marion when they're in last place.
Am I right in thinking that at least one of them played for the Phoenix Suns?
Sean Marion did, yeah.
And April and Sarah live in Arizona.
Oh, they could have that type of alliance. I see where you're getting at. Yeah, This is why I don't like I know Amazing Race loves to skip any airport interactions now, but the first leg, you really need those airport interactions because that's where everybody meets each other for the first time. Where they get, not just at the starting line where Phil does his explanation or gives people random gifts, but this is the first time where they have time to kill, there's no real strategy to do, you're just hanging out waiting for your plane to leave for a couple hours, and you have no choice but to talk to everybody.
Yeah, I've just thought of that now, that actually, more than likely, they were fans of Sean Marion before the season.
Oh, yeah, they're not going to be fans of anybody from the Phoenix Coyotes, because nobody in Phoenix cares about ice hockey.
But more than likely, they're going to have at least a working knowledge of the Phoenix Suns, I would assume, if they live in the general area.
Yeah, they're going to see posters and stuff. It would be like, if you live in Vancouver, you're probably going to have a loose knowledge of the BC Lions players or Vancouver Canucks players. And when Sean eventually figures it out, it's a bit amusing, because he's like, I'm not blind. Oh, shit. He made a pun about the letter that he was confused about.
He's not blind, but it looks exactly the same as hers, except the accents are the wrong way around.
Somebody scratched above the letter. Well, above one of the letters. Is that supposed to be there? They scratched the diagonal line. Whose nails were those?
Who can scratch glass that hard?
Yeah. Is there cats in Iceland I don't know about? Somebody needs to declaw these cats.
They have a terrible jaguar problem. So yeah, Cedric and Sean end up being the 8th team to arrive, but they do get a 30-minute penalty because Cedric helps Sean at the roadblock.
And it's the first time where somebody blatantly disagreed with Phil over a penalty. This is very Henry and Terry vibes from Amazing Race Asia 2.
It's just like, I didn't help him, he didn't even hear me.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, how ridiculous would this have been if it involved Margie and Luke? Like, could you imagine if Margie just yelled out the answer knowing Luke couldn't hear her, and then at the pit stop, Phil's like, you guys get a 30-minute penalty because, Margie, you helped out Luke on the roadblock. And then Margie says, what? He can't hear me. I was just talking out loud. If anything, I was helping the other teams. You're laughing at this. And then Phil says, rules are rules. You're not allowed to help your teammate with the roadblock you're not allowed to say the answer out loud when your teammate is within range, regardless if they can hear you or not. Do you know how awkward that would have been?
It would have been fantastic television, though.
It would have been so controversial. I wouldn't even know how to react to it. I would just be like, this is really awkward to watch right now. Do I laugh? Do I get upset? Do I protest the show? Do I think it's like one of the best moments ever? I wouldn't know what to do.
All of the above.
So I don't know, like, this is the things I think about on the race. Just take a penalty or a moment and just find the most absurd way how that penalty can be assessed. Because I was just thinking with Cedric saying, well, he didn't even hear me. It's like, yeah, I guess so, but I mean, maybe he heard you self-consciously, as some people like to say. Subconsciously, I believe is the real term for those of you that have not figured that out yet.
And Cedric and Sean's penalty then means that Eric and Daniel have 0 match at in 8th place, and Desi and Kayla get super close to a parked car.
Oh, I don't know why they didn't just leave their car there and just go do the challenge, because that's the thing with these challenges, that unless you were Sean Marion, none of these challenges took very long this week. They were all very, very quick.
I'm assuming they were told they had to properly park the car before they could leave it.
I would hope so, because otherwise that was very nitpicky. Or even try to get away with a sloppy job and be like, well, they'll accept it. It doesn't look pretty, but we can move now.
Yeah. It was a really awkward parking space, though.
Because all it took was just one less second of trying to park that car, and we have a whole different outcome. And did you hear about the craziness of the unaired part about this photo finish?
They both went the wrong way, and Desi had an asthma attack, I think it was, wasn't it?
Asthma attack and an accident in her pants.
Oh, I didn't know about the accident in her pants.
Yeah, she peed herself, apparently, and she had an asthma attack. Like, everything went wrong that could go wrong in those last couple minutes.
What a momentous way for them to leave the race.
And it all went unaired. Like, they should have aired all of that. That would have been the most memorable elimination ever. Like, at least when it was Keisha and Jen still went off to use the porta potty and then was eliminated because she used the bathroom. With Desi, she risked it all and still came up short.
She must have been so pissed off.
Yes. And here's the other thing about it, I guess, is that they originally ran to a spot where the cast or where the production was filming like the confessionals and stuff afterwards and doing some other stuff, and they thought there was like a pit stop mat there, and they initially went there. Both teams did, and they're like, no, the pit stop is over there. It's still another like quarter or a third of a mile. So then they just had to keep running, and that's why they were so out of breath. And when Desi's asthma attack kicked in, and then everyone dropped their bag, and Desi just didn't think of dropping her backpack. And that once it had to be under a second, eh?
Yeah, it was a photo finish, literally. It's the closest finish we've ever seen for a pit stop, basically.
Yeah, and have it be for the elimination. Like, the last time I've ever seen it be this close for last place is probably some of those mad dashes with the late equalizers in season 7, or to a lesser extent, Mies and Maya seeing the pit stop and then just being like, just suppressing the visual of it and going elsewhere.
And, Cedric and Sean end up checking in ninth place by about 10 seconds. And then April and Sarah just about managed to beat Desi and Kayla for 10th place.
That's crazy, too, that Phil that's the first time where he had to just get somebody on the pit stop map 30 seconds in advance so he could check them in at the exact second. Do you know how messy that would have been if Cedric and Sean arrived at the pit stop 10 seconds later, and it's not only a photo finish between the other two teams, but they had to clock in Cedric and Sean's penalty. Because it's like we have to fast forward to that exact microsecond exactly 30 minutes earlier. That would have been impossible to try and get on tape. Because you'd have to do like the exact photo at that microsecond for each of the pit stop check-ins.
And, yeah, that means that Desi and Kayla are the first team knocked out of the race.
In fact, the entire projected bottom three I had pre-season all finished within 10 seconds of each other at the very bottom of the pack this leg, for exactly the reasons that we expected.
Yeah. It's almost like we're good at what we do.
Yeah. And when the people were like, "Oh, I'm shocked Desi and Kayla went first," it's like, how are you shocked? Or I'm surprised that April... Yeah, it's like, did you read the bios and all the preseason stuff? And it's like, you were shocked that the NBA guys who aren't that into Amazing Race and don't really know what's going on too much with the show, you're surprised that they got a 30-minute penalty and we're 10 seconds away from being eliminated?
Because we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it's a huge surprise to either of us that Desi and Kayla were going.
Yeah. This was probably I think Shal and Nabila being first eliminated was still was more obvious, yeah. But Desi and Kayla would be like that next small step or tier above that. It was definitely in that Kelly and Siobhan territory. Maybe even more so.
And much to my irritation, we didn't even get a next time trailer. We got a this season on The Amazing Race. They've loved
doing that since about season 26.
I know, but it's disappointing.
And there wasn't really any spoilers. That everything that was already talked about pre-season was in the preview.
Apart from the partner swap.
Yes, that's the big thing. That's confirmed. That's official news, so I guess we can talk about that now. Because everyone's posting about it everywhere.
I didn't even hear rumours of this pre-season, can I find out? This was a massive shock to me.
Do we know if it's for a full leg or for like half a leg?
I'm not sure. I've seen a theory that it's going to be like an intersection, but for one task.
Like you just swap like an intersection, except instead of two teams working together, just two teams swap together.
Yeah, but I can't see them doing it for a full leg because they would have to do it on a non-elimination leg because you can't have half of two teams going home.
But I really want to see that. That would be... Do you know how awesome that would be? And then the team that doesn't want to race together has to race the rest of the race together.
It would be awesome. But also then you have to consider that I have spreadsheets to maintain. And also, what would you do with start times if they had to do this on a non-elimination leg for the entire leg? Would you meet in the middle for the start times?
No, you just stick in the teams that you swapped with. Like, it's just like as if this is your team now, and you just stay that way.
Yeah, I can't see it being a permanent swap. Can you?
No, I've got a feeling if it was more than an episode, they would have hyped it a lot more pre-season. I think they're just experimenting with this twist to see if they can build upon that for next season.
As a fan, I like the idea. As someone who has an extensive Amazing Race spreadsheet, I'm like, for God's sake, really? Why are you doing this to me? And
then, of course, we got the double... It's in the next episode anyway, so double battle is confirmed. Whether there's going to be more than one of them remains a mystery.
Without an official confirmation of the name, can I find out?
They did call it a face-off, didn't they?
No. They said that teams would be competing in a brand new route marker. And people have been dubbing it because of the indoctrination of Amazing Race Canada. They have been dubbing it the face-off, even though everyone knows that it is actually called the double battle.
Yeah, because even on the Wikipedia page it said face-off for this season.
Whereas actually more seasons still have used the name double battle than have used the name Face Off. I'm just pointing it out, because I believe China and Philippines both used Double Battle as the name as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this season we have Fries, Gnomes, Rhinos smashing yachts, and Phil, looking quite beardy, announcing a partner swap.
Yeah. And that about does it for this leg. Any change of opinion on the teams heading into the next round?
I love April and Sarah a lot more than I thought I was going to. I'm slightly disappointed that we didn't see more of Trevor and Chris. I like Alex and Conor more than I expected to, because I thought they'd be a bit sort of boring. Still think that Henry and Evan are probably going to win, just because I'm getting good vibes from them still.
And they got a lot of airtime this episode, even though they didn't exactly... Well, it wasn't too intriguing of airtime for the most part. Very Ernie and Cindy-esque.
Yeah, they were still giving me Ernie and Cindy vibes, which is nice. And yeah, I think that's about it for what I have to say.
Yeah, pretty much the teams we thought were going to be strong are strong. The teams that we thought were going to be weak were weak. The stunt casting teams got all the airtime. The teams that weren't stunt casting were essentially kicked to the curb. I guess Henry and Evan were the only non-stunt casting team, and I guess Lucas and Brittany too. I guess they both got a reasonable amount of airtime, but Eric and Daniel and Chris and Trevor and who else? Oh yeah, Desi and Kayla. They were the eliminated team, and we only saw them in 3 different scenes, and it was really quick. And it's like, oh, they're gone.
That was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you for listening to this Your Team Number podcast. You can join us next weekend for episode 2. If you've got any questions, feel free to contact us on our Facebook page, Reality TV Warriors, on our Twitter account, RTV Warriors, or our own Twitter pages, MJ Harmstone for me, and Log Super Quacky for Logan. See you next week.
And just a reminder, for people that think the rest of the season is going to be good, Season 6 also had a good first leg in Iceland with self-driving, and we all know what happened after that. Peace out, and just chill, till the next episode.
Yeah.
Could be Spanish. Hola, amigo. Abre la puerta. Donde está... No, I'm speaking in an accent that is beyond her range of hearing.
Was that vodka? What was that?
A nail.
Stings the throat.